Hey guys, my name's Alicia, and if you don't know who I am, I sell vintage clothing on the apps Depop and Poshmark. And now that I'm actually in my 4th year of selling, I wanted to share a few tips with you guys of what I've learned over all of these years. I've actually made this kind of video in the past, but I still have a few tips and tricks up my sleeve that I wanted to show you. And all the little things that I did that have helped me sell hundreds and hundreds of packages over the years. And I'm even going to be revealing how I get clothes for free. As I've mentioned in my past videos, I have my own clothing pickup service, and a bunch of people have kind of asked me how I did that. So I'm definitely going to be going into detail all about that. Okay, so my first set of tips is going to be all about saving money. As you guys know, running a business can become pretty expensive. You know, you gotta invest money to make money. But obviously, the less money you spend, the bigger profits you're gonna make. And you probably don't even know it, but you're most likely overspending in certain areas. So I'm gonna show you exactly where you can cut costs. Okay, so my very first tip is to stop buying packaging. There are already so many Amazon mailers and boxes out there. We do not need to be creating more. So all of the packaging that I use when I ship my items is 100% reused. It already has been used before. So there are a few different ways you can get your hands on these used mailers. One, of course, is obviously just to keep all of your mailers from your online purchases. But if you're someone like me who doesn't really make that many online purchases, you're definitely going to need another source. So if you let your friends and family members know that you are on the hunt for them, I'm sure they would happily collect them for you. Another great option is to, you know what, just go out there on recycling day and have a look through your neighbor's recycling bins. Yes, it might be a little bit awkward if somebody sees you kind of like rummaging through the recycling, but once again, I really don't think people would mind. And also, legally, once you put something like out on the road, it's available for anybody to take. And yes, I've personally done this. If I see a nice mailer sticking out of someone's recycling bin, you know I'm gonna snatch it up. But the last way, and probably my favorite way to collect mailers, is actually using Facebook Marketplace. So I would highly recommend joining a Buy Nothing group. These have become very popular recently, and they're basically these private Facebook pages where you can join your local group and everyone basically has the common goal of giving away free items and keeping items out of the landfills. So if you just search into Facebook Buy Nothing group, or I've also seen them referred to as If It's Free groups, and then just make sure to include your town or like where you live's name, you'll most likely be able to find one of these groups. And then once you've joined, all you have to do is create an in search of post saying that you're on the lookout for used packaging, and I'm sure you'll get a bunch of people willing to give some to you. So that is personally what I do, and I really like this method because I can get like a lot of them in bulk. Now I know that like used packaging doesn't look as professional as like a brand new mailer because maybe it has a little rip in it and you got to tape it up, but honestly, when you're already selling used clothing, people aren't really gonna care. But if you do want to do a little bit of customization to your packages, I personally just like to add stickers on them. That's always fun. And then of course add my business card inside. So you can still make it fun, you can still make it personal, while also doing a favor for the environment. The next thing that I would recommend to save money is to look into different shipping providers. So the standard shipping service in Canada is Canada Post, and they've always been a little bit more on the expensive side, but as of recently, their prices have just gotten like out of control. So I would highly recommend looking into other options. Through PayPal, there is something called Net Parcel where it will compare like the prices between Canada Post, Purolator, and UPS. But honestly, I find that the prices aren't that big of a difference. But I personally just recently switched over to Chit Chats, and I have been saving a ton of money just because the shipping is so much cheaper. Now, they do have way less locations than Canada Post. It is a little bit more inconvenient to get to, but if you have one nearby, it's totally worth it. Also have a look into Stallion. From what I've heard, they're very similar to Chit Chats. I just personally don't have one near me. So if you can, make the switch, because honestly, I feel like that's probably one of the best things that I did for my business this year, and I've been saving a ton of money. Now, my next tip for saving money is to always bring a coupon with you whenever you're shopping for inventory. So for me personally, I shop at Value Village a lot. And yes, while their prices have risen significantly, if you're getting the right discounts, you can totally make it work. So I would definitely recommend signing up for their email list because periodically they do run sales on clothing. They usually do a 30% off sale, but that's only like every couple months. So definitely take advantage of that when it happens. But if you didn't know, you actually get a 20% coupon every time you donate to Value Village. So whenever I leave the house to go, I never never forget to bring a donation with me so that I can get that 20% off coupon. Because whether you donate a small bag like this or like 2 giant garbage bags worth, you always get 1 coupon. So what I would recommend is to just stock up on your donations. I know it's tempting to just get rid of all these clothes at the same time, get them out of your life, but stock up on them. Ask your friends and family once again, like, hey, if you have any clothes to donate, I will happily take them off your hands and donate them for you. And just have like a nice donation stock going. That way, every time you go to Value Village, you can bring a nice small bag with you and get your 20% off coupon. Because honestly, nothing hurts more than when you're shopping and you forget to do that and like, you know, you could be saving so much money. And yes, there's a lot of stuff that's totally overpriced at Value Village, but I simply just don't buy those things. I just keep out on the lookout for items that are priced closer to like $5-ish. It's definitely harder to find, but it exists. So with that plus the coupon, you can totally make it work. So now that we've saved all this money, let's actually put it towards something that's gonna count. Which actually brings me to the sponsor of today's video, which is Celerator. So Celerator is basically a reseller's automated assistant that gives online sellers the tools to do more in less time. Celerator supports all of your favorite online platforms such as Depop, Poshmark, and Vinted. And using their Grow tool, you can actually automatically complete tasks such as refreshing listings, automatic following, automatic unfollowing, liking listings, bulk messaging, and much more. And I actually personally reached out to Celerator to see if they wanted to collaborate just because I love their products so much. I've kind of experimented with similar products before, and personally, I just found that Celerator is just so simple and easy to use, and that's why I love them the best. So getting started with Celerator is super easy. All you have to do is download their Google Chrome extension. And then once that's done, you'll see a little sidebar appear on your page with all the different options. My personal favorite is the share listings feature. Refreshing your listings is probably the most tedious and time-consuming task that is really important that you have to do on Depop and Poshmark. You know, it's super repetitive, edit, post on every single item. It's super annoying. And I used to spend about 30 minutes every single day sharing my listings on Depop and Poshmark, and that was only twice a day. So now, as you can see, with just one click of a button, all of my listings will start refreshing automatically. This has honestly saved me so much time that I can now put back into my business, you know, taking more photos, listing more items, not to mention the fact that I've been able to share my listings so much more often that I'm just getting so many more notifications, meaning that, you know, there's more eyes on my items, which of course eventually leads to more sales. And if you want to take it even to the next level, you can turn on auto refresh. So auto refresh will basically automatically refresh your listings at certain times of the day. And you can really just like fully customize this any way you want. Personally, I have set it to refresh every 2 hours, and that has really worked well for me, but you can set that to like any amount of time that you want. And as you may or may not know, Depop and Poshmark do not allow spamming, but Celerator actually has some really great built-in features and reminders so that these tasks don't become spammy and your account will not get flagged. So this has honestly been like the best thing ever. I don't even have to think about refreshing my listings anymore. There's even a Poshmark and Vinted version as well. But honestly, the best part of Celerator and why I love it so much is that it's honestly so affordable. Pricing starts at just $12 for your first month. So that is amazing. I feel like anybody could totally fit that into their budget. But you guys can actually start a trial for completely free by using my link in the description below. So I would highly recommend checking out Celerator's Grow product. You've got nothing to lose, and I know you guys are gonna love it just as much as I do. All right, so my next tip is to do weekly drops. Once you start getting comfortable selling, you know what sells, you need to keep your listings consistent and keep the ball rolling. And I feel like it sounds so obvious, like the more you list, the more sales you'll make, but it is honestly really scary taking that risk, bringing in so much inventory when you don't know it's gonna sell. And that was what was holding me back for such a long time until this year I decided to do a new drop every single week. And if you're a little bit nervous like I was, all you have to do is start off small and stick to a budget. So I would recommend just taking a percentage of what you made in the previous month and putting that towards new inventory. So That could be 25%, that could be 50%, whatever you're comfortable with. So for example, if you made $200 last month and you wanted to do a 25% budget, then you would allow yourself to spend $50 for the whole month on inventory. And honestly, I feel like even just a little bit of money goes a long way. And as you slowly get that ball moving, you can kind of increase your budget a little bit more every month and get that ball rolling. And I would highly recommend that as you're bringing, consistent inventory in, to make sure you're photographing it at the same rate. Because I've heard people's horror stories of their death piles where they just have tons and tons of inventory that they never get around to listing. So I put myself on a very strict schedule that I make sure I photograph everything that I bought that week. So now that you're bringing in consistent drops weekly, I would definitely recommend incorporating those as story sales on Instagram. Now, I've talked about how important cross-listing is before, but specifically I want to talk about Instagram just because it is kind of special. Because, not everybody has or even knows what Depop and Poshmark is, but everybody has Instagram. So it kind of opens up your business to like a whole new perspective, a whole new audience of people. And while I don't make as many sales on Instagram as I do other platforms, honestly, a lot of those sales I make are usually people that aren't necessarily on apps like Depop and Poshmark. So pretty much everything I'm listing to Depop and Poshmark, I go ahead and just do a little story post and then add it to my highlights. So it's a little bit of extra work, but I think it's totally worth it, especially because you want to build your brand's presence on other platforms like Instagram. And you really don't want to put all of your eggs in one basket. You really want to diversify where you're selling, because as we saw recently with Poshmark making all these weird changes, you want to have other options, because who knows, Poshmark and Depop could just not exist one day. Plus, Instagram's just a lot more interactive, so it tends to just be more fun. And the last tip that I'm going to give you guys is how to get clothes for free. Now, I would say this isn't the best way to get your inventory, but it is a really great way when you're just starting off and you need to kind of like build up and bulk up your closets. But basically, one day I was just sitting here thinking about how, Value Village, for example, gets all of their inventory for free. I was like, I want to get in on that. So I kind of thought, like, how could I start my own clothing sort of like donations? I knew I had to compete with places like Value Village, and I had to find like a way to entice people enough to choose my service. And the main way I did that was to offer free pickup. So with this method, you will need a car just because you're going to be picking up and transporting, quite a bit of clothing. But essentially what you're going to want to do is create a Facebook page. You're going to have to come up with some sort of name for it that involves, what you do. So like clothing pickup or something like that. So for mine, I basically just explained what I did. I will come to your home completely for free, pick up your clothing. I kind of took a more environmental spin on it because, as we know, most of the clothing that does get donated to thrift stores does not get sold. So this was more of like the environmental option for people who are looking to donate their clothes, but also, have the environment in mind. Plus, for me, I vowed that any of the clothing that did go unsold, I would donate directly to charities. So not to support a charity, but like directly to people in need. There are a couple of organizations that do that, such as like Safety Net, Dress for Success. There's a bunch in Toronto that basically allow people free access to clothing. So that was definitely another great point to add to the page and kind of another incentive for people to choose my service. So once you've got your page all set up, you're going to need to do a little bit of advertising. There are kind of like two ways you could do this. One is kind of like the old-fashioned way where you print out flyers and go around your town putting them up on mailboxes and stuff, which is totally free, but it does take quite a bit of time. Or you could go down the other route and do Facebook advertising. What's great about this is that you can pretty much set your budget for any amount and you'll still be able to reach people. So personally, I have actually done both options and I've found success doing both. And you may ask, then why don't people just donate all of the clothing directly to these charities that, give people clothes for free, which I'm totally not opposed to, but realistically, these places are not convenient. There's not that many of them, so they're usually kind of like far away. People are just not going to take the time of their day to do that. They're going to drop their clothes off at the closest donation box or the closest Value Village just because it's easier. So this is honestly the best of both worlds because it's super convenient for them. They don't have to go anywhere. You just pick it up from their house. They get to support a small business. They get to help the environment, and they get to help people in need directly. And some people might jump to some conclusions that, you're just taking all the good stuff to sell and then like giving all the bad items to charity. But I want to make it clear that just because something doesn't have resale value does not mean there's anything wrong with it. there's just certain items that for some reason don't sell online. So personally, I have donated like really nice Aritzia items, really nice Zara items, brand new with tags, like nice clothing to these charities just because I know I'm not going to be able to sell them. So like I said, it's basically a win-win. So if you choose to do this, I'd just say keep in mind that it is a ton of work. You're probably going to get a lot of clothing. So while you're not spending money on it, you're definitely putting the work in for it. And obviously, I would highly recommend going down the route I took, and all the clothing that you're not going to take and sell, I highly recommend donating it directly to people in need. So I'll leave a bunch of those great organizations in the link in the description. And of course, just make sure to stay safe while you're doing this. You know, you are going to like strangers' houses, so only do porch pickup, don't go inside people's homes. You know, try not to go alone, but if you have to, make sure you tell someone where you're going because you never know. So those are basically all of my tips that I wanted to share today. I hope they were helpful. They have definitely helped me increase my sales over the years. And also do not forget to check out the link in the description and give Celerator a try. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next week.